So, shalom, ladies.
Hello.
Boker tov, or tzaraim tovim, whichever time zone you're in. So, my friends, how was Pesach? No? Did everybody here feel that they mamish came out of Mitzrayim? Okay, all right. For those of you that felt that you came out of Mitzrayim, how many feel that they have the power to stay out of Mitzrayim? Okay, coming out of Mitzrayim is one thing. Staying out is something totally different. It's a totally different game. So that's what we are going to be talking about today for the next couple of weeks. So shalom, everyone. Once again, nice to see all the familiar faces. For those of you guys that maybe don't know me, I'm Rabbi Rom, and it is an honor and privilege to be once again in the Bas Medrash. Yes, Rabbi Judy. Guys, give her a huge hand. The spirit, nothing stopping her from putting this group together and allowing the ladies of Tzfat to be able to nourish their neshamas, to nourish their souls, to nourish their bodies as well. So Baruch Hashem, Todah Rabbi Judy, and all of your holy work.
Amen.
So we are a little bit after Pesach, and we are in a very, very, very special time. We're in Sfiras Omer. Now, I don't know what you guys know about Sfiras Omer, but what I have been learning about Sfiras Omer is that there's no free lunch. Except with Rabbi Judy, you can get your Rabbi Judy, you can come here, you can eat.
Breakfast.
You know, breakfast, you got brunch. Okay.
It's also not.
It's $20, it's not free. Okay, all right. You get a discount. But if you want to stay out of Mitzrayim and you want to show up to Shavuot, to reach Matan Torah, Har Sinai, and to be able to receive the divine connection with the Creator once again this year, you got to work. You got to put in the work. That doesn't come easy. It's not free. You got a free gift, and that free gift was on Pesach. I'll just do a quick reminder what was happening, mystically speaking, on Pesach. On Pesach, we got a free gift. Hashem gives us the ability to come out of Mitzrayim, and He does it for us. Hashem sees that it's not so easy to have to deal with all of the shmutz, with all of the things that we have to deal with in our lives, and each one of us knows all of the things that they are challenged with and they have to face on a day in, day out basis. And it's not easy. The Gemara says, Ein achavush matir es atzmo mibeis asuri, which means that someone who's in a prison can't free himself. Someone that's in a pit, he can't take himself out of the pit. If you're in a pit, the only way you're getting out of that pit is somebody helps you get out of that pit. They're going to throw you a ladder, throw you a rope, right? But if you're in that pit, can't get out. So the Gemara says, so we need some help. So we are in Mitzrayim. We are in whatever Mitzrayim, whatever Pharaoh is controlling us, whatever is preventing us from truly being connected with God in the deepest way. And Hashem says, okay, you know what? I'm going to take you out. I'm going to give you a gift. On Pesach, it's a free gift. Yeah, like the Gemara says, why are you saving the Jewish people and destroying Mitzrayim? There's no difference. They're idol worshippers. We were in a very, very, very abysmal spiritual state when we were in 49th gate of Tumah. There's 50 gates of impurity of Tumah, which is 50 gates where our soul is more and 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 more imprisoned within the ego, within the body, within the animalistic and selfish cravings and desires that 99.9% of the world chases after. And we were in the 49th gate. 49th gate. If we were descended into the 50th gate, there would have been no return. So God says, oh, I can't let that happen. It's my people. It's my children. I got to step in. And so God comes in and he's got to bail us out of jail, so to speak. But now we're out. We're out. However, nobody wants free lunch. Nobody wants to feel like Freddie the freeloader. Nobody wants to feel that they're getting it the chesed. We want to get it b'schut. We want to earn it. We want to earn our spirituality. We came into this world to earn our rightful place alongside the Creator. And so we cannot settle just for getting a free gift. So therefore, God says, look, I give you a free gift. Because but I know that you really, really want to earn it. You want to earn it yourself. You don't want a handout. I'll give you an opportunity to work. I'll give you an opportunity to put in the effort and to work on yourself. And then you will be able to rightfully say, this is mine, I deserve it. Yeah, there was once a king. He asked his son, he says, can you please do me a favor, my precious, precious child? He says, sure, Tati, I'll do anything for you. I mean, you're the king, but you're also my father. He says, okay, can you please bring me a gold coin? Gold coin. Well, boy, 7, 8 years old. He doesn't have any gold coins. He says, okay, I'll look around for gold coins. He doesn't find any gold coins on the street. So he goes to his mother. He says, Mommy, can I please have a gold coin? And she says, okay, a gold coin? Fine, here, take a gold coin. So she gives him a gold coin. He takes the little coin and he goes to his father and he says, here, father, I brought you what you asked for. Here's the gold coin. The father looks at the gold coin, opens the window, throws it out the window. The kid says, whoa, okay. I mean, my father's deciding to throw out the gold coin out of the window. I mean, who am I to question him, right? Father says, can you please do me another favor? He says, sure. Can you please bring me a gold coin? Child says, okay, I mean, I just brought you one, he threw out the window, but fine, if that's what you asked for, I'll bring you another gold coin. So he's looking around for the gold coins. Oh, obviously, he doesn't find a gold coin. So what does he do? He goes to his mother. Mommy, can I have another gold coin? And the mother says, sure, sweetie, here, you can have another gold coin. I guess she woke up on the good side of it. Here, you can have gold coins. So she gives him a gold coin, and he runs his fast. Here, look, I brought you another. And the father's so happy, he takes the gold coin, opens the window, throws out the window. Okay, my father, he's much wiser than me. I'm not going to question him, right? Father says, can you please do me another favor? Can you find me another gold coin?
You should just go around outside to behind, under the window and get it.
Yeah. No. That's like if you threw out like 100 shekels outside of the window on spot, would you be able to find it? Somebody's gonna find it. It's not gonna be there. So he says, okay, you want another gold coin? Fine. So he finds another gold. He doesn't find another gold coin. He goes to his mother. Mother gives him another gold coin. Gives it to the father. Father takes the gold coin, opens the window, throws it. And like this again and again and again and again until finally, mother says, I'm sorry, I'm not giving you any more gold coins. That's it. You've reached your allowance, my son. So he says, well, but my father asked me to bring me a gold coin. So what does he do? He gets a job. He starts working for it. And he starts doing a little odd job here, odd job here. He's 7 years old, right? But he's working here, and he puts together another pruta, another little copper coin, until finally he has amassed enough money and he exchanges it for a gold coin. He takes the gold coin and he runs faster than he ever did to his father and he says, Abba, here, I brought you what you asked for. Here's a gold coin. The father takes the gold coin, opens the window, and throws it out the window. And the child says, no, Abba, why did you do that? Why did you do that? Why? And he's making a fuss and he's screaming and his father says to him, son, How many gold coins did you give me before? I threw it out the window, you didn't say anything. This gold coin I threw out, all of a sudden you start making a fuss. The child says, yeah, because I worked for that one. That was mine. The other ones, who cares? You do whatever you want, throw it out. It's not mine, I don't care. This is mine. I earned it. I earned it. And Hashem also wants us to be able to earn Matan Torah. To earn the Torah. To earn our rightful birthright for the Torah. Is not just a gift, but it's something that we want to be able to show up to Matan Torah, to Har Sinai. And we want to say, Ribono Shel Olam, yes, we are the people that want to carry your Torah and to use it to illuminate the entire world. So in order to get to Matan Torah, we got to put in a little bit of work. So therefore, we have 7 weeks. Sfiras HaOmer is the time where we put in the work. So by the end of Sfiras HaOmer, by the end of these 7 weeks, hopefully we can all show up to Shavuot and deserve the freedom and deserve all of the brachas and all of the blessings, gashmius, ruchnius, and everything that you possibly need to fulfill your mission in this world. So we got to do some work. My friends, are you ready to do some work? Yes. I did not hear so many very positive. Oh, Rabbi and Judy, hold on, you told us brunch. Rabbi Rom's going to tell us some nice stories. Okay, maybe if we're lucky, he'll play a song.
Yes.
You didn't say anything about putting in some work.
Yes, I did.
You're ready. So everybody knows.
The month before Pesach, we worked.
You worked.
And worked.
That's right. You were working scrubbing and krechten and kashrin and doing all that good stuff. But now we got to do some internal work. We did the gashmius work. Now we got to do some work. So in order to do some work, we have 7 weeks. And everybody knows that these 7 weeks, they correspond to the 7 midas of the nefesh. Everybody knows man was created in God's image, which means just like in the supernal realms, there are 10 sefirot through which God channels his light into the world. So too, we also have these 10 faculties, the 3, Chochmah, Bina, and Das, they correspond to the mind. And then the 7 lower ones, Chesed, Gvura, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, and Malchus, correspond to the emotional and behavioral traits that we have. And the work that Hashem wants us to do during these 7 weeks is to fix our 7 midas. So this is probably common knowledge. I'm sure everybody here is quite familiar with it. This idea called Tikkun HaMidot. Has anybody ever heard of this idea called Tikkun HaMidot before? So I'm sure everybody here is also very much interested in doing Tikkun HaMidot. But the problem oftentimes I find is that we don't really know what to do, how to do it, what even needs to be fixed. So therefore, we have to get very serious about it. So that's why, with God's help, I have created something called the Midah Map. The Midah Map is a map that will guide us into understanding what it is that I actually need to do in order to show up to Shavuot, Matan Torah, the way I'm supposed to. So I hope there's enough for everybody, but you guys want to pick one and pass them down. I will briefly explain. I hope you guys came prepared. Do we have pens or pencils or any type of writing utensils? Chaim to everybody on Zoom. Oh, you don't have one. Oh, the Zoomies don't have one. The Zoomies don't have one. You know what? But because we are not going to discriminate against our digital super Jews. So I am going to I'm going to send it to Judy. Can you post this on the Zoom? Can I send you something on WhatsApp and put it in the Zoom?
WhatsApp. Yep, WhatsApp.
On WhatsApp, you have the group, right? Oh, you have the. Okay, so let me do that.
Or anybody need some? Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry for throwing. Anybody else need a?
No, it was you. Yeah, my. No, it was.
Throwing or waiting.
I mean, there's one more thing. Yes, it is.
Serious numbers. Okay, so I put it on the, I sent it to you, so if you can send it to the group, and then our digital friends will be able to also participate.
Doesn't work, I don't think. I think it's dried out. Judy, do you have more of this?
Sorry, what was the question again? Correct. 1 to 1. 1 to 1. That is absolutely correct. It is not coincidence that there are 49 days of the Omer, right? From the time that we leave Mitzrayim until finally the day before Shavuot, which is the 50th day, and the significance of the 49 versus the 50. 49 is gematria memtet, yeah, 49th gate of Tuma, and it's the gematria of cholen, okay, and so we have to cholen means sick. Yeah, Chetvav Lamed Hey, right? 35, 39, yeah, 49. So 49 is the more sick spiritually we are, we have to heal ourselves spiritually. And so finally, until we're able to come to the 50th gate, and 50 always corresponds to the dimension of freedom, of liberation, total liberation. That's why there's the Yovel, the Jubilee year, every 50 years. All of the servants goes free, all of the land, the property reverts back to their original owners. 50 always signifies a next level of liberation and freedom. Okay. So yes. Sure.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Sorry, don't count.
Okay.
Don't count. We're not allowed to say the bracha.
Okay. Yeah.
And I asked the father also like, can I, if I want to, like, have the bracha? And he said, the law relevanti machine, and the shamot for machine, not tzlachot.
Okay.
So he said it's not relevant. The souls and really don't need that.
They don't need the tikkun of the bracha for the Omer.
No, the whole count, the whole sphere.
Of counting the secure.
Okay. So
Counting this.
We don't need it. I don't do it.
Right. So again, I'm not a posek, and you ask your rabbis whoever you want, but the Kabbalists and the Hasidic masters all held that the sphera is not just for the men, also for the women, but also for the feminine aspect of our souls, that each one of us has masculine aspect and feminine aspects. The masculine aspect is always talking about the divine soul, the feminine aspect, the nefesh ba'amis, and it's the relationship between the parts within us. And we want to have shalom bais in our houses. We also want to have shalom bais in ourselves. And so please ask your rabbi if tikkun midos is shayach to ladies have to work on their midos, or it's just us. You guys are all right. I mean, my wife is perfect. She's made that quite clear, and I am not allowed to think for a second that she is anything but perfect. So God forbid that I think she needs tikkun midot. But I didn't know that applies to all women. Is that true?
No. I think it's a different counting the Omer or tikkun hamidot.
Right. So count
different things.
Right. So
count is not necessary, but
right. So counting the Omer we do with the mouth, and it has a lot to do with the rectification and the koach hadibur. But here we're going to not focus on counting the Omer. Here we're going to work on actually applying the midot that we are supposed to be working on throughout the Omer. Because if you want to hold that the women they're exempt from counting the Omer, then that just means that their male counterparts should be doing the work for them.
I think I understand. Without a bracha, but they should still count.
Okay, again, I'm not going to tell machloket. I'm not going to ask your local rabbi, whatever they say. Okay, count, don't count, whatever. The point is, we want to explore a little bit about what it is we can do to bring ourselves more into alignment with Hashem. Kol hakavod. Did you get it off the group?
Yes.
You got it. Okay, great. Yafeh me'od. Okay, so what is our goal? Quick recap. Anybody here that's ever learned anything with me, you know that the foundation of all spiritual growth and development comes from understanding we have two separate identities, the animal soul and the godly soul. Nefesh Ba'amis and Nefesh Elokis, right? ABCs. The Nefesh Ba'amis, the Nefesh translates, some will translate it oftentimes to soul. We want to translate it to drive. What do you want? What is it hardwired to desire? What does it want? Okay? And so the animal soul, oftentimes, it wants things that are unhealthy, that take it beyond what it needs. Because if we were to go all the way back to Gan Eden, Garden of Eden, before Adam and Chava ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, okay? And they just lived like normal human beings, pre the sin of the Etzadas. Do they have bodies? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did they have bodily desires? Did their body need things?
I don't think so.
What's that?
No.
So you would be surprised that yes, they
do.
do. And there are things that the human body needs for its normal, natural function. Chocolate. We'll talk about the chocolate. But the idea here is that there's listening to the body and listening to what the body needs and giving it what it needs in order for it to be healthy. But that's natural. That's normal. The Nefesh Ba'amis, the animal drive, ego, which is self-centered at its root core, does not just want what it needs to be healthy and happy. It wants more. It wants more. It wants more than it needs. And when you take more than what you need, there is a danger of it becoming unhealthy, right? So there is something unhealthy. There is something that is healthy. And then, but if we were just to be healthy, just imagine that for a second right now. If everything that you wanted, everything that you did was totally healthy, how would you feel?
Great.
You feel great.
Balance.
You feel balanced. Bored. Okay, bored. Fine. Bored. You feel deprived. But I would think for most people, they would be okay. They would feel good. And that's not enough. God did not just put us into this world to feel good, to feel balanced. We have to be unbalanced. But not unbalanced in the unhealthy way. We have to be balanced in a holy way. And so there are three different approaches that we have to identify within us. There's unhealthy, and everybody will probably agree that staying in an unhealthy place is not very healthy. So we want to move from unhealthy to healthy. And then once we're in a place of healthy, then we want to move to a place of holy. We don't want to settle just for being healthy. We want to be holy. And so we have to identify what are the things that are unhealthy in our lives, and how do I make them at first healthy, and then how do I make them healthy? Because somebody here mentions chocolate. Now I ask you, is chocolate good or is it bad?
It's delicious.
It depends on quantity. If you're doing it, if you're into it in a healthy way or an unhealthy.
So I'm going to give you guys a little pro tip here, okay? A little cheat code, all right? Whenever a rabbi asks a question, the correct answer will always be, it depends. It depends. Anything we've learned from 2,000 years of learning Talmud is that whatever the question is, the answer will always be, it depends. It's never black or white. It's never black or white. It's never black or white. Except for our suits. What? It should be a bumper sticker. Yeah. Just like this guy, he wanted to learn what is Talmud. So he goes to the rabbi. He says, Rabbi, what is Talmud? Tell me, what is Talmud? The rabbi says, it's Talmud. Oh. Two people, they climb down the chimney. One person, he comes out completely clean. The other person completely filthy with soot and ash. Who takes the shower? So the guy says, well, obviously the person who's filthy and full of soot, he takes the shower. Rabbi says, wrong. Wrong. The clean guy takes the shower. How does the clean guy take the shower? He says, because the filthy guy, he looks at the other person, he sees he is filthy, so he thinks I must be filthy, so I take the shower. But the guy who's dirty, he looks at the clean guy, says, oh, I must be clean too, so I don't have to take a shower. Next question, the rabbi says, two people go down a chimney, one person comes out completely clean, the other one completely filthy, soot and ash. Who takes the shower? The guy says, Rabbi, you just told me that. He says, the guy who's clean takes the shower. Rabbi says, wrong. The guy who's dirty takes the shower. So what do you mean? That's the exact opposite of what you just said. How is that possible? He says, well, the guy, he's dirty. He looks at himself. He says, I'm full of soot and ash, so I take the shower. The guy who's clean looks, says, I'm clean. I don't. Next question. Two guys come down the chimney. One is completely clean. The other one is completely filthy with soot and ash. Who takes the shower? The guy says, Rabbi, I don't know. I don't know. The rabbi says, neither. How is it possible for one person to come out clean, the other person to come out dirty?
The dirty guy went down first.
Cleaned everything out. There you go. There you go. Talmud is never simple, and after 2,000 years of training our Jewish brains to not be simple, we have to understand the correct answer is always it depends. Is chocolate good or bad? It depends. It depends. Okay. So let's begin by conquering the first Midah. We have 7 Midahs, 7 weeks, each Midah, regardless of whether you're counting the Midah or rather because I guarantee the Midah of Chesed, which, anybody want to guess what does Chesed correspond to?
Right hand.
Chesed corresponds to the Midah of love. Craving, desire, pleasure, something that I want. Something that I want. Chesed is something that I want. Okay? So now, I want everybody to think of something that they want, not you do, because there's just Midas. When we start getting into the lower aspects, that's more behavioral. Right now, it's just emotional. It's internal. It's understanding what forces are driving me to do what I do. I want you to think of something that you love, something that you desire, something that you crave, something that gives you pleasure, that is unhealthy. You don't have to say it out loud just yet. I'd like you to think about it for a moment. And I would like you to write down in your little box here something that you think is unhealthy that is overly indulgent, craving, something that you think.
Something physical or emotional?
And the emotion is the compulsion. It's the force that I want that thing. But what's that thing? Could be something physical, could be something emotional. But whatever that thing is, please write it in the box. And when you have written it in the box, I would like you to turn to a person sitting next to you, and I would like you to share with that person what that thing is. You got to be brave. You got to be courageous. If you don't want to, if it's something that's too personal, you don't have to. You don't have to. But you want to think of something that you crave, that you desire, that you know is unhealthy. That you know is unhealthy.
5 years with my it's not unhealthy. It only happened for a while. Yes, the one is 5 and that's 5. I'm saying.
And please take note of why you think it's unhealthy. What is it about that thing that is unhealthy?
And I think
You're doing this with your dog? Oh, no, welcome.
right. And then we go through the so the unhealthy is like forcing something. Yeah.
Okay, everybody had a chance to share with their partner? Yeah. Okay, Yefemo. So now here's the tikkun. Ready? Here's the tikkun. I want you now to imagine. I want you to now to think. First of all, is somebody brave enough to share? Somebody have? Yeah? Chocolate?
Oh,
No.
that's not.
Okay.
Chocolate's healthy. That's healthy. It's sugar, wanting more sugar.
Wanting more sugar. How much sugar? No. Let's get specific.
Well, okay, so I'll give you an example. Last night I was at a person. I can have a buffet of like sweets on the side.
Mm-hmm.
You like just want to have every single thing. That's
Right.
there. There's, every.
Like the entire thing.
Yeah, why not?
One of each.
Gotta try one of each.
That's right.
Before it goes.
When I was growing up, there was a comic called Garfield. If anybody here remember Garfield?
Yes.
So there would be like a big pan, like a big a lasagna, and so he would cut a piece of lasagna, put it on the plate, and he would take the pan. I'm not an animal. I'm not going to take the whole thing. Okay. So eating the entire buffet of sweets. Okay. Okay. So that everybody would agree that would be unhealthy. That would be unhealthy. So now I would like you to take that thing, and I would like you to imagine what that thing would look like if it was done in a healthy way. Because is there something inherently wrong with sugar? What's inherently wrong with sugar? Yeah, it depends. What? It depends. Is there anything inherently wrong with sugar? What?
Sugar is in unhealthy.
How much? Oh, hold on.
Sugar
How much sugar do you need to rot your teeth?
A lot.
Oh, so it's not the sugar that rots the teeth, it's the amount of sugar.
That's right. Well, it depends on the person.
Obviously, the sugar's not jumping into my mouth, okay?
But for me, any sugar is not okay because
what?
Because
Yeah, fair.
it's addictive.
Because of the compulsion and the drive that my nefesh bahamis, my animal soul, has towards this thing called sugar. But the sugar itself, what do you want from the sugar?
It's inherent in the sugar that it is addictive. It's like, if we were talking about heroin.
Right.
You say, what's it?
You know what else is addictive? Torah.
Okay, but that's.
Mitzvahs. There's nothing wrong with being addicted. Just the question is, Hashem created addictive things.
Okay, but would you say what's inherently wrong with heroin?
And first of all, like when we want to inherit, right? Let's get this out of the way. If you want to know if something is inherently bad or not, There's really only one place that you can actually answer that question. Anybody know where we'd have to look? Shulchan Aruch. What's Shulchan Aruch? Shulchan Aruch is a book of Jewish law. And the book of Jewish law will tell you exactly what is inherently good or inherently bad. Okay? If it was inherently bad, then we would be completely forbidden from using sugar.
Pork.
Pork is inherently bad because we are not allowed to eat pork, right?
Till the end times.
Till the end time. Okay? But until then, I want you to start thinking.
What's good about
It
that?
is.
I'm not saying, we're just saying, does the Torah forbid smoking?
Yes.
No.
I don't know. I know plenty of rabbis that smoke. Maybe they missed that part of the Torah, but it definitely said, okay. But anyways, this is a bigger picture. The point that I'm trying to make here is that if you were to have a spoonful of sugar,
Sounds like a song.
yeah, is there something wrong with the spoonful of sugar?
No.
Just like a person never got obesely overweight from one donut and never became extremely anorexically thin from one salad. Doesn't work like that, right? That's why we have such a hard time working it, trying to understand how do I live in a healthy way? Because, I was so proud of myself. I managed to eat a nice salad and I didn't have any junk food. And why am I still single? Oh, you mean I have to do this on a consistent basis?
No.
Oh, we want the magic pill. We want the magic pill. No magic pill. No magic pill. So we need to consistently be healthy. So something like sugar, sweets, right? Maybe for someone that it's
Diabetic.
fine. But for most people, what would that look in a healthy way? The thing that you wrote down in the unhealthy way, how would it look if you did it in a healthy way? Now, healthy does not necessarily mean not doing it. Not doing it.
Okay, doing less.
I don't know. Whatever that is for you.
Discipline. It needs discipline.
It obviously needs discipline, but here we're not talking about strategies for discipline. We're just trying to understand what would my life look like if I could move from unhealthy to healthy regarding this thing.
You can change the form of sugar. Honey's not bad for you. And so
Honey's not bad. That's right. That's not
things
done.
aren't bad.
Maple syrup.
That's right. But the thing here is but what I'm getting at here is that first of all, I want to be able to identify, because look, studying the mystical spiritual tradition of Torah is not like being a personal development guru. I'm not here to tell you what to eat and how to eat. My job is to help you become aware of the forces inside of you that compel you to do X or to do Y. If you can understand those forces and start to work with those forces, that's where the freedom lies. It's not from saying sugar is evil or carbs are evil or anything else and saying this is the thing that I have to completely stop doing. There are other traditions that focus on saying, look, all this stuff you have to cut out of your life. But our way is not a way of cutting it out. One of the things that the Gemara says very interesting, that a Nazir, you guys know what a Nazir is?
Yeah.
What's a Nazir?
Someone who doesn't eat things.
He's taking a vow. He's taking a vow, and he does not drink wine or anything that has to do with wine or drink.
And grows their hair.
But it's for the wine, it's for the purpose of wine, right? Because the wine can. What?
What's an Nazir called in English?
Nazarite, I don't know. There is no actual translation. It's not.
That's somebody else.
It's not, yeah, Nazarite. Well, it's the bracket date. Yeah. But the point is, the Gemara says that at the end of his vow, he has to bring a sin offering to the temple. Why? What for? What sin did he do? Because he didn't enjoy the wines. He did not enjoy the wine, and that is sin. God says, I have created all of these beautiful things in the world.
Sin offering.
And I have allowed you to partake in them. And now it's not enough, the 365 negative prohibitions that are asur, now you're going to add?
Rabbi, sin offering or guilt offering?
Sin offering. He's got to bring chatas. Why? Because God says, I want you, because there's a tikkun to be made. When we are partaking of the world. See, you think you need sugar. You don't need sugar. Sugar actually needs you. But there's a tikkun to be made. And all the things that we do, there's a tikkun, there's an elevation, there's a spark of godliness. That when we take part of that thing, we elevate. And so I want us to get out of thinking of, okay, the unhealthy things, fine, I know it's unhealthy, so that means I need to try and get it out of my life. But that's not a tikkun. A tikkun is, how do I heal the relationship that I have with this thing?
So when you're happy, when you're happy, so don't eat lots of sweets and don't drink lots of wine when you're unhappy, maybe that. And when you're happy, you enjoy it, and then you don't drink as much or eat as much for wrong reasons, like that.
Maybe there's a place, again, we're not talking about strategies we'll talk about in later classes. Right now we're going through an exploration. Absolutely, that a person needs to be lechatchila in a state of joy, 100%. That the aleph base of serving God, it begins with being in a state of joy. You cannot expect that, I'll work, and then one day I'll be happy. No, I have to first be happy now, and now I can start working. So joy is critical. And so if that means that I need to have some rogalach, so be it. But one rogalach, two rogalach, whatever it is for you, where you draw the line from it being unhealthy to healthy. But what I want you to do, everybody here had something that's unhealthy. I want you to think, what would that thing look like? What would my relationship with that thing look like if it was healthy? Okay, great.
I enjoy eating.
Great. So I don't think that is what was the intention of what we were shooting for, but
Be in a swimming pool and do everything.
What would be the healthy version of it? Okay? So once you have that, please write that down in your box and go ahead and share that with your neighbor. And tell them, what would that look like for you if you could do this thing, or if you not do this, but if you could want this thing in a healthy way.
Okay, do you want to share? Okay, so stay with ice cream. So now if you start like find a thing, and first you start it's all saying my going to the beach. I love going to the beach, swimming in the ocean, in the sun. Like it's not something for my body to do it so right. All day is back in my skin. I'm gonna be out like in moderation. And I use my umbrella to under my skin, and I'm not swimming across the like 45 minutes to work out. Come back. So it's like
okay, did everybody get a chance to share? Anybody brave enough?
Yeah.
Anybody brave enough to share with us something unhealthy that it would be, this would be a healthy way I would look at it? Yes. Hold on, guys, I need your attention, please. Yes.
Unhealthy, I think, healthy, breast.
Every 5 minutes, every hour, every day. What are we talking about? Okay.
So, Rabbi,
I thought that was healthy. I thought having a glass of wine every day was healthy. I don't know.
One glass of wine. I think I bought
Oh, a bottle. Okay, fine. Okay.
so Rabbi, for example, I like ice cream.
Right.
And I ice cream,
Hold on. So what would the healthy version of that look like?
healthy version,
glass of-
first of all,
glass of-
I know, and I put the whole gallon ice cream in the fridge, and all I think about ice cream.
Right.
Then I think, I know it's unhealthy, I know it.
Right.
So first of all, I need to make myself know that this is unhealthy.
Right.
This is number one. Until I tell myself this is unhealthy, nothing can happen.
Mm-hmm.
Then I think myself, this is unhealthy. Now I ask myself, what can I do about it? And I ask myself, listen to me. Take a little bit and tell myself, that's it. Blineder. That's it.
Okay, if you have such a strong willpower, kol hakavod, Leah. I don't know if I have such willpower like you do, but I would maybe suggest, instead of making the ice cream the bad guy,
That's what we.
the ice cream is not the bad guy. Who's the bad guy?
Our minds.
Yes.
They're not me, God forbid, not me.
Not
Because
by-
remember,
not by itself.
fundamental Jewish spirituality. We are all bipolar by nature. We have two separate and unique identities dwelling within us. I got to drive this home over and over and over and over and over again. I never seem to be able to say this enough, because we fall into this trap of thinking I am my desires. I am my ego. And so I beat myself up because I want these things. I know I shouldn't want them. Instead of developing the ability to see the egotistical, self-centered desires as something external to me. It's not me, but it's something that is within me. It's something that I have inside of me. It's not me. It is not my identity. It does not define who I am. It does not define who I am. And that now I can start to work on this relationship between me and my nefesh b'ha'am.
So you're saying with something like the ice cream, right? Like, it's not about the ice cream, it's about that force, or whatever it's like your desire for it.
That's right.
So you're really not working about the ice cream, is more working about what can I do and have a healthy relationship in that.
That's right. And when we start getting into the tikkun aspect of it is always going to be through elevating our consciousness. In Kabbalah and Hasidus, it's called mochin the gadlus, mochin the katnus. Expanded consciousness and constricted consciousness. It's the difference between an adult versus a child. A child is very impulsive. And child sees what he has in front of him and he wants it now. Whereas an adult, we're able to push off that instant gratification, and we're able to be more calculated. We can say no, we can make better decisions. So being in a more mature state of consciousness is the entire backbone and foundation of all real Jewish spiritual work through Kabbalah and through Hasidus. It's bringing mochin, it's understanding, wait a second. Why am I so compelled to finish the entire tub of ice cream? What is it about it that is compelling me? Why do I feel that this is going to give me what it needs? And when we start to, what? You're hungry? You're not hungry. You're not hungry. You're not hungry after the first scoop. You're not hungry, right? But it's identifying, wait a second, there's something inside of me that wants this thing. It very much wants this thing. And my goal is to self-educate. I need to educate the child within me, so to speak, to say, wait a second. Why do you want that? Why do you want it? Now we'll get to that answer in the later classes because it's critically important to understand what is it about the child's mind inside of me, this egotistical kind of force that is very, very immature, so to speak, sees this world. And our goal is to try and educate it in such a way where it will start to see the true meaning of what it wants. Because the truth is, it doesn't really want the answer. It just doesn't know any better. And so just like we have a mitzvah to educate our children, so too we have a mitzvah to educate ourselves. The entire reason why we have Torah. Torah is teaching. It's coming to educate us, to educate our minds how to be able to see the world, not just in a healthy way, but in a holy way. Okay? So
Rabbi, what do you say?
Hold on, is that making sense? Is this making any sense?
Can you say example? Okay, but if you are me and you want ice cream, how would you talk to yourself? What you say about what you said before?
That's great. Again, strategies and tactics we'll talk about afterwards. Right now, we're just filling out the map. Yes.
So is wanting, like the shadow side of the person?
Is what? Yes. Yeah. It's not the shadow side. It's not the shadow side. Because again, I don't know what you mean when you say that, but when wanting in itself is not inherently bad.
Okay.
Wanting, craving, desiring is not inherently bad. And again, when we understand that we have two separate identities, the question becomes, okay, what is it I want? So first I have to know what it is that I want, and then I have to ask myself, that thing that my animal side wants, is it unhealthy? If it's unhealthy, how do I make it? And now once I'm able to know what it means to make it healthy, now how do I make it whole? Because as Jews, our goal is not to kill the beast, so to speak. We don't want to get rid of our cravings and desires. We want to harness them. We want to harness the power of our cravings and desires, and we want to direct it into a holy way, which is why God has given us the Torah, which tells us in every aspect of our lives, our physical lives, how to take something that our egotistical, animalistic, selfish selves wants, craves, and desires, and how to make it holy. And when I do it in a holy way, I'm harnessing the power of the animal, of the ego inside of me. And that is making a dwelling place for God in the lowest worlds. The lowest world is not your soul. Your soul doesn't need a tikkun. What needs a tikkun? The ego needs a tikkun. That animal inside of me, the child that needs a tikkun, it needs to be educated. And once it grows up, that's what we call geula. When the child in me can actually become the adult, that's it. We finished our tikkun. Because now I don't need discipline. Now I don't need to force myself to not eat all the sweets or to do this or to that. Now I just don't. I use it in a healthy way, in a holy way. In a holy way. Yes.
So,
Is that a continuation?
Yeah, continuation. So for me, when you said put the healthy, I said for me, not eating sugar would be the healthy.
Okay, that I would agree with you.
But then I said, well, maybe that's too black and white.
Not Jewish.
So not being drawn to eating.
No. See, this is the difference. This is the difference between Jewish personal development and spirituality versus what you see on YouTube. Okay, the world will tell you being healthy is saying cut it out of your life. That's not where we are. We are about balance, and so we're about taking that big one.
When it's physical, like last year, Pesach, after Pesach, I had this huge inflammation. I spent 3 days in the hospital.
Okay,
And I think it was from the gluten. Since last Pesach, I have not had the least desire to touch gluten because I was in agony and I never want to go there again.
Okay, that's
now if I could feel that without sugar,
right.
I would be so happy.
I agree with you, and there is a way to feel that way.
legality to me.
There is a way to feel that way, and that's kind of like the way I felt about carbs. So I went on this journey of trying to, I lost like 35, almost 40 pounds last year. And I did it at first by completely cutting out carbs, the evil source of evil in the world, as all the YouTube gurus will say, carbs, the devil, the devil. Yeah. And so that's what I did. And so it reached a point where it was working because I was losing weight, but I looked at carbs as if it was like Pharaoh. It had this power over me. And God forbid, no! Get that Berekas away! If I eat that Berekas, that's it. I'm dead. Right? And so I realized, wait a second. I gave it so much power. So much power over me, right? And so then I started to reevaluate this whole ketogenic diet thing and started to understand, wait a second. I'm not going to get fat from eating Berekas. So I was able to repair the relationship that I had with carbs. And now I can eat carbs, no problem. So I could have reached a point where it's like, oh my God, I don't want carbs at all, and I want them out of my life, and I have no desire for them whatsoever. But I don't want to be that Nazi. I don't want to be that Nazi. Because if God created this beautiful, incredibly delicious, flaky, who am I to deny God of bestowing his creations upon us? Just like Rabbi Akiva was in a conversation with one of the Romans, and the Roman asked him to tell me, Rabbi Akiva, you're a very wise Jew. Tell me, whose deeds are greater, God's or man's? And Rabbi Akiva, the great Talmudic sage and mystic, says, man's deeds are greater than God. And the Roman, but you're a Jew. How you believe God is? How could you say such a thing? And Rabbi Akiva says, God created wheat, but man created bread. God created wheat, but we created bread. We created pizza and Berekas. That's right. I don't know if exactly Rabbi Akiva said Berekas, but you get the point. He definitely said bread. But the point is that we are taking the raw materials that God has created, and we are now making them into something that can now be used in a holy way, believe it or not. Oh, Berekas can be holy. Sugar can be holy. And so our job is to understand, first of all, what does that look like in a healthy way? Not a bottle of wine, but a glass of wine, yes. Now, okay, yes. And then we're going to move on to healthy. We were supposed to get through at least half of this today, but as it is, that's why I got here 7 weeks. Yeah, go ahead.
So I just want to say,
Okay.
so what I want to say is that for most people, when we're in the moment of craving the ice cream, I'll take your example, and and wanting it in the refrigerator after you had your first serving and you want more. That's the hardest place in that moment to do the tikkun.
Right.
We have to be a little bit separated from that taiba to be able to look at it, to be able to see it and understand it. And then from that place of separation, then we can kind of transform, and then we go back to that moment, and then we can have a different relationship with how we look at the ice cream in the fridge, in the freezer.
100%. When you're in the moment, it's almost if you're in the moment,
it's hard.
And now you're relying on willpower, whatever it is, forget about it. Jewish spirituality, Jewish self-development, and Tikkun Middot is not about what do I do in this situation. It's about the work you do before you get to that
Exactly.
situation.
Or you feel it, and then you go do work.
So we have a very, 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 very rich system for training ourselves, training our minds, educating the child inside of us. But we do that not when I'm facing the ice cream.
Exactly. So we're facing the ice cream, then you come up with justification.
Right.
Oh, I can justify a little bit.
Generally speaking, the time that we're supposed to dedicate to that work is supposed to be first thing in the morning. It's called, anybody know what it's called?
Coffee.
It's called tefillah. That's what it's called. It's called, now I don't know what you guys do, okay? I don't know what I do, but I know what we're supposed to do. Tefillah is supposed to be the time where we are self-educated. So that when I'm done with tefillah, and now I have to go have breakfast, I'm in a completely different place, right? That's why the halacha says that you're not allowed to eat before breakfast. Because if you're not allowed to,
Before prayer.
you're not allowed to eat before prayer.
Yeah.
Because if you don't pray and you immediately get out of bed and like go eat, what's your breakfast? What's your breakfast going to look like? Who needs who? Who needs who? Right? So we need to first of all put ourselves into this elevated state of consciousness, and now I can properly engage with the world. But yeah, if I'm already getting there, then I'm going to need other strategies for that, and there are things for that. But that's not the full tikkun. The full tikkun is preparing myself so that when I get there, and I'm able to say, okay, now I feel this much compulsion, a little bit less, a little bit more, and I'm able to work with it. But it 100% it's supposed to be working. Okay. Yes.
But what-
I just still feel that there are people, for example, someone with Crohn's, someone with celiac, somebody with, or an alcoholic. There are some people that it's like usher to, you know what I mean, to have that.
Right. So yeah. So that you're already talking about. But okay. I will stipulate that when we're talking about normal healthy people that have reached a place where it's become already an illness. Then there's different strategies for that. Absolutely 100%. But again, the Rambam says, Rambam was a doctor, okay? And the Rambam was very, very, very specific in things that we should eat, we should not eat, lifestyle, exercise. And there are people that say, look, if you live by according to what the Rambam says, and the Rambam himself says, if you follow everything that I'm telling you, you will never need to go to the doctor. And you can take that to the bank, he said. And he says you can take it to the bank. A Revlo says, my word, follow my recipe for a healthy living. You'll never be sick.
When the Rambam was, there was no such thing as
Process.
There you go. Hold on. Fine. High fructose corn syrup. I agree, but nonetheless, the Rambam still says after he gives the entire diet and the recipe, and he says this, stay away from it. It's like swords in your stomach, and stay away from this, and stay away from this, and stay away from this. He goes on to say, however, if you have a little bit of it, it's not the end of the world. It's worse to overeat the healthiest food than even if you have an unhealthy food. So the Rambam also understands it's about a lifestyle. It's about being consistent. It's not any one thing that will determine if I'm going to get ill or not. And so that's where we need to put the emphasis in, so that I can understand, okay, how do I live in a healthy way, in a holy way, which we have to get to. Oh my gosh, 7 minutes over. We have to get to it. But even if it's something that is not the healthiest thing, high fructose corn syrup, is there a place for it in my life? Is there a place for it in my avodas Hashem?
Yeah, the garbage.
So Rabbi, does that mean
Yes.
this sort of stops the ambulance at the bottom of the cliff?
Well, sorry, where was the ambulance going? Where?
This stops the ambulance at the bottom of the cliff. You've just explained the unexplainable.
Which would be, oh, I'm so glad I did that. Can you please
Yeah,
explain to me?
Yeah, sure. So what you've done is you've explained how what's inside us isn't all of us, isn't
Right.
us. That's impossible to explain, but you did. I don't know
Okay,
how.
thank you. I'm glad I did, but people much wiser than me explained it in a way that I'm just regurgitating.
I think you started with the word bipolar and everyone's ears prick up, but I mean, I'm not, but that doesn't mean I don't,
Right.
guess we
right.
all, yeah, there's,
My job is to take the Torah's knowledge and translate it into modern times. For lack of a better word, that's the way I use it, but it's very important to understand that, yes, we have these two identities and they're at war with one another. And so we want Shalom Bayis, and so we need to understand the relationship with it. So I would like just to leave
Yeah, great.
with the holy cube here, okay? We talked about the thing that's unhealthy. Moving it into the healthy. What does the healthy look? Now, how do I take that thing and make it holy? What does it look like? What does it look like? What would that look like if I did it in a holy way? If it was not something that just my body was engaging in, but that my soul was also engaging. That I was bringing God into this world through the ice cream,
Well, obviously.
or through the wine, or whatever else it is. I want you to think, what would that, how could you do this thing? After you identify, what is the healthy aspect of it look?
No, Rabbi, I have a question. For example, first thing I can ask myself, who is that who wants it?
Who's that the one?
Who is
We
that?
know who wants it. It's
And
easy answer.
what is the next step?
The next step is, first of all, okay, that's not the step, but you have 1,000 steps before that. You have 1,000 steps before that. This is the work, the strategy beforehand. We're not talking about how to tikkun. We're just trying to identify what needs to be done. First, diagnosis. Okay, then strategy.
What you said before. If a person, I have to ask myself, who is that?
You don't need to ask yourself because everybody knows.
No,
And if you don't know,
I don't know. I don't know.
you know because your soul doesn't want the ice cream. Trust me.
Yeah, but what shall I do about it?
That's what we're going to talk about afterwards. First of all, we just need to know now, what would that healthy thing look like if it was holy? What does it mean to be holy? How could I turn this into a mitzvah?
You would say a bracha first before the ice cream or the wine.
I would say a bracha. I would definitely say a bracha. Making sure it's kosher, mandachashme, obviously.
Enjoy it while you're having it.
All enjoy it. What is a very, 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 very easy fix to take something and make it holy? What? Eat it on Shabbos. But she's like, I'm not waiting for Shabbos to have a glass of wine. Forget that. I'm having my bottle on Shabbos, okay? But not every day is Shabbos. Not every day is Rosh Chodesh. What? So that's the bracha. Okay, that's the after bracha. That's the after bracha. Baruch Atah Hashem. Okay. What's another easy hack? How do I make this holy?
Share it with somebody.
Share it with somebody. Share it with somebody else. The Baal Shem Tov says that our job, it should be that our spirituality is somebody else's physicality. Is that when I help another Jew, the Gashmius, when I help another Jew physically, I'm doing something spiritual. My spirituality is doing something physically nice, physically good for another fellow Jew. So instead of having a glass of wine, invite somebody else to have a glass with you. Or but whatever that is for you, I want you to think, what is that going to look like in a holy way? So recap, we've taken something that was unhealthy, that we have a compulsion, a desire, a craving for. We don't want to get rid of the compulsion. We don't want to get rid of the desire. But we want to harness it into not just a healthy way. What does that look like done in a healthy way? But also done in a holy way. How do I do this as a mitzvah? How does the Torah teach us to do this thing that I naturally want and desire? How do I turn that into a mitzvah? And if you need some help trying to understand that, ask your local rabbi and they will, I'm sure, help you. Have a great day, my friends. Shavuot Tov, Chodesh Tov, B'ezrat Hashem. Ani Hashem Rofecha. We should all be healed to properly enjoy God's world in a healthy way.
We should bring this back next week.
Please keep your sheets if you can. If you cannot, please then give them back to me and I'll bring them next week. But yes, you will need these for next week.
thank you, Rabbi. I'm in New Zealand, so it's late. Sorry.
Okay. Baruch Hashem.
I'm-
Call it to go. Call it.
No. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.